Yo guys, how's it going? So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to mix dubstep. This is just going to be a quick tutorial. I'm going to show you kind of like where you can mix in dubstep, other dubstep tracks into some dubstep tracks. Usually where I mix them from and all these different techniques that I've been using in the past. I'm also going to be making some dubstep mixes in a bit. The track that we're going to be using today, the one that is going to be the first track is going to be Hydrate by Oliver's. And this is going to be on deck B. And then I'm going to be using for the track that I'm going to be mixing in, it's going to be Space Race Blast. It's a free download, so you guys should check out those tracks if you guys want to follow along with this tutorial. So they're both at 145 BPM. So dubstep music, traditionally it doesn't have like a beat intro. It usually has some sort of kind of like sub, and then it leads into maybe some sort of like sound effects every few beats. So it's not the traditional kind of house music that you'd be mixing usually. It has a sort of kind of different structure. And the good thing about that is that you can mix it in different parts of the song, unlike house music where you have to mix it in either at the beginning of the drop, midway through, or during the end, before the break starts. So dubstep kind of gives you a bit more freedom for the mixing style and technique, so it's kind of nice. So yeah, so I'll just be starting the first track from the build-up, and I'll be mixing in the second track into it. I'll be showing you two places where you can mix dubstep music into a second track into. So yeah, so for the first track, the drop starts, I think around here is when it hits, the vocal plays, and then right around here is when the drop starts. And then as you can see, it moves along, and then there's a small break right here that shows kind of like after 8 bars, 8 beats of the drop, it's gonna do a small sort of continuation. It kind of shows that the track is progressing, and then it in most cases it adds a sort of like element, either like a new snare or some sort of new cymbal or hi-hat, and then it continues the drop. So the first time we're gonna be mixing in the second track right here after this kind of small break. Because this track is a bit different, it's not like house music, this part right here is another build up into like the second drop of the first drop, if it makes sense. Yeah, we'll be mixing it in from there, and then if we want to let the drop play out longer, we're gonna continue, let the drop play out of the first track, and then right around this part is where it's kind of like the outro of the first drop. So the drop, like the main drop, is here, and then this is kind of leading out. This is usually put into place to allow you to mix in the second track. It's a good kind of simple beat, and then it continues, and then over here, as you can see, or my bad, sorry. So right here, the small little part is kind of like the outro of the first drop, where it's a simple beat and allows you to mix in the second track. For the second technique, we're going to be just using this. As you can see, it's pretty much in line right now as we would be mixing it. Somewhere along the lines of this is where I'd start mixing it in. See that pretty much all I have to do is simply when this part hits, I just have to align the play, and that's it. And there's not much to it. Even if it's slightly off, by the end, when it's here, there's gonna be this kind of decreasing, kind of like, I don't know what to call it, but a whoosh down, I guess. But here it'll be building up. So in either way, you can filter out this track, or you can spin out or do some sort of transition, and it'll smoothly lead into the second track. Let's start with the very first one, where I start mixing it in over here. So yeah, basically you guys get the gist of that. That was just mixing in just 1 or 8 beats into the first drop. So let's go back ahead. I'll just be mixing it in from the kind of continuation of the drop over here. So what you guys heard basically was first 8 beats of the drop of this track. I started mixing in this track. It transitioned in nicely with kind of a sub impact and then a reverse sub impact into the sort of intro vocal of the second track, and that fit up nicely because it is the same BPM, the same key, so the vocals didn't clash with each other because the intro vocals on top really fit well with the drop in the first track beneath, so it really, you know, created a nice transition. And then you can use the build up in the first drop to kind of lead into the hype of continuing the intro where the drums kind of get a lot heavier. That was the very first technique. So let's continue on with the second one where I'll be mixing it in to the outro of the first drop in that first track. So yeah, that was mixing it into the outro of the drop of the first track. As you can hear, that transitioned pretty nicely. It was, you know, people knew that it was kind of the end of the drop of the first track, and so it transitioned nicely into the intro and then build up of the second track. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned how to mix dubstep music. I know this isn't the only 2 methods. There's so many other methods that can be used for dubstep because it is so versatile, and you know, it allows you to use different techniques and just be really creative with it because it's structured so differently. Yeah, but if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what kind of other tutorials you guys want me to do, and peace. I'll see you guys in the next video.